What is consciousness? Can a machine gain consciousness through emulation? Why do we forget when machines don't? To answer these questions, we compare artificial intelligence to human mind to help us better understand the functions that run the natural brain and find out what makes our consciousness unique. Can these unique qualities be emulated by a machine? Do we forget because our brains are better at optimizing the capacity that we have? Or do machines hold a key to infinite wisdom? Unlike machines, the brain isn't all binary, meaning that our information is not a representation of binary code. For a machine, for example, the letter K is represented by the numbers 0, 1, 0, 0, 1, 0, 1, 1, and the letter I by 0, 1, 0, 0, 1, 1, 0, 0. The brain uses several methods. Parts of our brain uses binaries such as the spike or no spike method, which represents the action potential of neurons. The binary concept of the brain dissolves when dealing with synaptic communication between neurons after a spike, which sends thousands of neurotransmitters packaged in vesicles to each other. There are hundreds of different neurotransmitters that contain information in seemingly non-binary terms to define forms of neurotransmitters such as amino acids, monoamines, and peptides. Instead, these neurotransmitters are made up of chemicals. However, just as 01001011 is representative of K, it may be likely to define each type of neurotransmitters in binary form. For example, this could equal to that, and so forth. While it may take many years to map everything, it still means that mapping the human brain in binary terms is a possibility. However, to be truly conscious, it is not enough to blindly follow our symptoms. We must be aware of our own existence. Infants develop a sense of awareness sometime between 15 and 24 months. This is tested through the Rouge test, where the subject is tested to see if they can recognize themselves in the mirror. Other animals, such as orangutans, chimpanzees, gorillas, dolphins, and elephants, have developed awareness, but they weren't born with it. So, at what stage do we develop awareness? The attention schema theory suggests that consciousness arises as a solution to having too much information to fully process. As a result, the brain deeply processes only a select number of signals at the expense of others. Would our brain make such drastic sacrifices without the need for survival? But machines, on the other hand, don't have the need for survival. Therefore, they will process all information as scripted until they completely burn out. The Turing test is an experiment that poses several questions to an undefined subject to determine if it is self-aware. If the person asking the questions cannot distinguish the answers from human responses, then the test is passed. If a machine passes a Turing test, it means that it possesses intelligent thought. It may be a surprise when speaking of intelligent thought that an infant can pass a Turing test while a machine cannot. I would argue that this is because an infant has a sense of survival that is driving its action and responses. Passing the Turing test for a machine, however, doesn't mean that the machine is conscious. This is because the intelligent thought can be simulated rather than emulated. Current models of AI are simulated. This means that the machine acts as if it is aware based on pre-scripted actions and responses. Emulated AI learns much more like an infant. An emulated AI is given a set of code that is comparable to DNA, and that machine learns based on parameters of that initial code, just like the infant grows based on the initial code of DNA. DNA is a set of code developed and refined throughout generations. While each may vary a bit, the structure and overall makeup of DNA remains the same. If a machine learns with its own parameters, it is no longer simulated, but it generating its own new actions as things happen rather than following a predictable script. If emulated AI was to continuously gather data, how would it be able to process all that data that is stored? In terms of processing, the more data to process, the slower and less functional the machine will get. Ever wonder why we forget? Let's take the example of emulated AI that keeps learning. Eventually, it won't have enough processing power or memory to maintain the data. The only solution other than adding more hardware is to parse through and delete any unneeded information, keeping only what is necessary based on estimation. Since we have limited space and getting more brains is not a real option anytime soon, deleting unnecessary information is exactly what we need. With regard to what could be possible, technology now is quickly merging with biology. With mechanical synthetics, biochemical circuits can now perform information processing through an artificial neural network, making technology synonymous with our own neural network. Johnny Metheny controls his prosthetic arm using neural signals. The electrical activity in the muscles are recorded through myobands, sent to a Bluetooth-enabled device, and then converted into neural signals that a body can understand. Dennis Sorensen can feel surfaces with a prosthetic arm using sensors on the finger that produce electrical signals as they deform over the surface, convert the electrical signals into neural signals, and pulse them back into his arm. These prosthetics perfectly demonstrate how electrical signals can communicate with neural signals and bridges the gap between man and machine. Electrical signals constantly run through our body. In fact, the average human brain runs on 100 watts, equivalent to the source of power needed to run a small computer. Messages in our nervous system travel through neurons as electrical signals. When an electrical signal reaches the end of a neuron, it releases neurotransmitters. Electrical signals perform the same action as neural signals. When sending it between man and machine, there is no known way for the body to read electrical signals being sent from a machine. However, we can assign parameters to the machine to decode the signal being sent from the body. Comparing this to computer programs, certain programs require specific file types in order to be able to read and open the information. However, it does not delegitimize the file type that it can't open because another program can still open and understand it. This means that although we don't understand the information being sent by a machine, it doesn't delegitimize the information because it is very similar to the functions of the neural signals. If we were to convert these electrical signals into information that we could understand, this information would be as effective to us as it is to machines. We have defined consciousness as the centralized awareness of our own signals, perpetuated by our own need for survival. What role exactly does survival play in the development of self-awareness? If we look deeper, we can see that survival serves as the root of all our actions and manifests itself in how we treat each other, what actions we take, and what we learn. It serves as a scale for our emotions of when to be concerned or when to be happy, when to take action or when to preserve our energy. Without the concept of survival, we would blissfully perform predetermined actions like any motivation and have complete disregard for the well-being of ourselves and those around us. The idea being that the well-being of others is rooted in the well-being of ourselves. Introducing the incentive of survival to a machine with an emulated AI model would in theory allow them to pass a Turing test and develop self-awareness over a certain period of time. At the end of the day, what really differentiates us from machine is only what hasn't been done yet.